So, Grant, you mentioned earlier we always suggest that customers work with an attorney when drafting an estate plan. It helps avoid a lot of the pitfalls that could come up if you were to just use like an online form. So, the question is you're talking to an attorney. The will is not the only document that you might want to have them draft. What are some of the other things, ancillary documents to the will, that you would talk to the attorney about and potentially have them draft for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I view this as you're already, yes, highly advisable to have to work with an attorney in preparing your last will and testament. But you're already working with the attorney on the will. This is a great time to go ahead and prepare some of these, more ancillary documents. And, I always think about it as, the will comes into effect upon your passing, but there are other things that could happen between now and then. And you need to make sure that you have the appropriate documents in place to ensure that you and your family are properly cared for if that were to happen. So one of those things is the durable power of attorney. In the event that you are still alive, but you lose capacity, you need to have someone else who can step in and manage your affairs for you. So the durable power of attorney is a great tool to have drafted by an attorney and put into place, naming someone that you trust to act on your behalf in the event of incapacity. The medical power of attorney is another one. It's essentially for medical related decisions, for healthcare decisions. So both really important tools to have in place in the event that you cannot make those decisions for yourself.
And just like we talked about with the will, it's true also that you can name backup agents for you in the medical power of attorney and the durable power of attorney. So we're not just talking about one person, and if that person has died before you or can't act, then you're out of luck. Similarly, you can have those backup people that are successors and can step in if necessary.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even if you're not in a situation where the first named agent predeceases you, but they simply don't feel up to the task, oftentimes those documents are written with provisions that they could resign, letting that successor step in. Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think is important with the durable power of attorney is avoiding a guardianship. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and how the durable power of attorney can help avoid that potentially?
Yeah, and you may be more adept at speaking to this than I am, but I feel like a guardianship is a very time-intensive, very restrictive structure to put in place. And if you have the forethought to put, a durable and medical power of attorney in place in advance, then you can avoid such a restrictive arrangement that can arise through a guardianship.
Yeah, I totally agree. Costly, expensive, time-consuming, lots of court supervision, all of those things come into play when you're talking about a guardianship. So to the extent that you can have that durable power of attorney in place and avoid it, that's all the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One other thing that's an ancillary document that I was thinking about is also what's called the advance directive. You'll hear it called a living will sometimes, or a directive to physicians. And basically that is a document where you can determine in very specific circumstances if you're not going to get better, you're in some sort of medical condition, you don't have the capacity to determine yourself whether or not you would want to discontinue life-sustaining treatment, then you can specify ahead of time if you would want to discontinue that life-sustaining treatment. And so that one can be a little bit much for people to think through, but I think that can be really important too in potentially doing that document as well.
Absolutely. We've all heard stories about, situations where someone is in that medical predicament and, the part of it is your wishes being fulfilled for yourself. But part of the benefit of having the medical directive in place is removing conflict for your family after you're gone. One family member may have one perspective of what your wishes were. Another may have a differing perspective. And having that document in place just removes questions from that equation.
Absolutely. And I've also heard of circumstances where somebody knew that a parent, let's say a child and their parent, the parent is sick and the document needs to be used. They know what their parent would choose, but for whatever reason, they just can't bring themselves to make that decision for them. And so, like you said, that takes the decision out of their hands and prepares that ahead of time so that they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. If you're doing your will, you may as well take care of all these other documents, while you're there.
Absolutely.
Yep.